So, Merry Christmas. Welcome back to the Bookmas thing. We're doing more questions today, and our hair is very different than other videos. We are going to be doing a different kind of questionnaire where Olivia has a prepared list of questions, and this time it is unpopular opinions. There we go. I couldn't get the word opinions out. Yes, and it was done by the Book Archer first, so thank you for the inspiration. Book Archer, for which we are just taking it and using it for our own purposes.
It seems to be quite a popular one.
We're just taking it and using it. Yeah. So, unpopular book opinions. I'm quite curious to hear this. I have a feeling that Olivia and I are going to share many opinions, but I'm curious.
We have a few that we're going to probably...
Alright, hit me up. I have no idea what the questions are. I have some roasted butternut squash seeds. Apparently I'm vegan. I'm not, but...
Number one, a popular series that you didn't like. So, a series that people have loved that you didn't. I have a couple. So, I have one that I'm probably going to reuse a couple of times, but Mistborn.
Oh, don't say that.
Sorry.
No.
I know it's popular.
No, get out, leave!
I just hate it. I read it all, I persevered, I didn't enjoy it.
So you read the Wax and Wayne, but you liked the Wax and Wayne.
Was better,
yeah.
But I still didn't really enjoy it. Sorry, I really tried, I put my all into it.
This is a point of contention.
And my other one is Twilight.
Okay.
I tried, what, over 10 years ago, I read the first one,
it's
couldn't even get
to
through
hate it, to be honest.
Yeah, this is why I think it's probably a bit of a weaker one, because it's, people love to hate the book.
This is really hard for me, because I don't read multiple books in a series that I don't like, so I haven't really read any...
Well, I only got halfway through the first Twilight book.
Okay, mine's a little weird in that it's not especially a popular series, but series of unfortunate events. I read the first one and I just didn't like it. It was just dull. I just found it so boring. It was just a bunch of cookie zany things that are going on. Oh, it's just misery and pain all the way through, and it was just there was no validation of tension. It was just things are awful. Maybe they can't get better. Adults are terrible. Being a kid is terrible. It just sucks. I just didn't enjoy it. I probably lost a lot of the nuance as I read it when I was younger, but I just couldn't get into it.
Well, you're meant to read it when you're younger.
You are, yeah. It's a children's book, but I just didn't enjoy it at all. So that's actually, that's a series I started and I went nah.
Okay. Oh, that's upsetting because it's been on my list, but because it's a children's book,
I'm sure I'd like it again if I tried it.
A popular book that you didn't like. So
popular
same question.
Book. Singular book.
Yeah, singular book this time.
Oh, God.
I have 3.
I have multiple straight away. Yeah. Anything by Sally Rooney. Anything by Sally Rooney. Anything that's by a popular YouTuber that is pushed. I did not enjoy Hazel Hayes' novel. I thought it was trite, weird, and uncomfortable in the fact that it exists. I'm not explaining myself well. I didn't enjoy it. Sally Rooney's books, you can please check out the cards that I hopefully will remember to put up in the corner of the screen, wherein I rant about a myriad of Sally Rooney's texts. But I desperately despise her as an author. I really do.
So Conversations with Friends next?
I'm going to read Conversations with Friends. I'm determined to read everything she's ever written, and I will review all of it, because it baffles me. No, I know exactly why it's been published. I know why they're published, but I hate them. They're just trite garbage.
But you still read her, so you love to hate her.
I don't love to hate her, I dislike it all the more. It's actually more of a social experiment for me. I'm just fascinated that these exist. I can see why. It's like watching a polar bear rip apart like a seal. Like, I know this has to happen, but I don't like watching it. I'm still curious though. Yeah, that's right. Sally Rooney is a polar bear ripping apart a seal. God, I'm like too mad. What's yours?
I have 3.
Yeah.
One that I think fits into your category, The Midnight Library.
Oh, The Midnight Library is a great one. Please check the card over there for my review of The Midnight Library.
I didn't hate it. I just didn't like the ending of it. It didn't go where I wanted. Poor.
Terrible execution. And
then I have 2 classics, which I think you're probably going to be annoyed at me for.
Okay.
So, To Kill a Mockingbird.
What?
Overrated.
To Kill a Mockingbird's great.
I didn't hate it, but it's so hyped that I was like, okay, this is going to be amazing. It was mediocre. I really
love To Kill a Mockingbird. I think it's a wonderful example of that unique bit of Americana combined with the child's perspective done so well.
But it was just...
I loved it.
Mediocre.
I loved it.
And then also Fahrenheit 451, I hated. That was a slog to get through.
I found it alright, yeah. It's not my favourite.
I found it so boring.
I wrote my dissertation on a good part of it. I did, yeah, I did. I didn't like it that much, honestly. It's fine. Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Again, overrated.
It is, I think, a little overrated, yeah.
Yeah, so they were my ones then. Yeah.
I'm calming down.
Number 2, because that was one question that I split into.
Oh, okay.
A book that everyone else seems to hate but you love.
Oh god, these are going to be so difficult to think. I would say that a book that I like that people hate, and now this is weak, but
yeah.
People don't hate it, but they think it's the worst one, is The Light Fantastic in the Discworld series, Book 2 by Terry Pratchett, the late great Terry Pratchett.
Okay.
People don't like it. It's slow, and to an extent also the color of magic, actually.
But he didn't even like that one, did he?
He didn't. He didn't like it. He hated it, and he rewrote it. Yeah. And it's kind of panned. I think it's great. Maybe you have positive associations with it, but I think it's lovely. I think there's some really funny jokes, and I'm not ashamed to admit that one of the earlier jokes only struck me, and I only learnt what it meant at like 26, and it's when Rincewind meets Two Feathers, whatever his name is, the other character, and you know he's like a kind of more modern-y world, or is he a traveller from Earth? I can't even remember what he is, but he is like a special kind of salesman. And Rincewind asks him, "What kind of salesman are you?" And he says, "Well, I kind of provide like hedging on people's properties. I'm in a," and he says the name, and he asks, "What's it?" and repeats it, and he says it again, and then Rincewind goes, "You sell in sewer ants? Why would you ever want to put ants in a sewer?" And I never got it. In sewer ants. Insurance. Oh, I never got that. It took me 15 years to get that joke, and one day it just hit me, and I just burst out laughing. I don't know where I was, I can't remember what it is, but it just destroyed me. I remember I read this book multiple times, I always was like, in sewer ants, I don't get this joke. Oh well, moving on. And it's repeated multiple times. Alright, that's my answer.
Fair enough.
And yourself?
I think mine's a bit weak. I'm struggling with this one. There was probably a book that I am just forgetting.
Yeah.
But The Book Thief. People seem to love The Book Thief, or they seem to hate The Book Thief. And I loved The Book Thief. But I think that's a bit weak because it's not a really hated book.
No, it's just less... It's one of those books people think of as overhyped, I think.
I think it's more that it's a Marmite.
Yeah.
Of a book.
Marmite. You like a Marmite recently.
But that was a bit weak because...
That's okay.
I'm struggling to think of a book that people really hate. Yeah.
And then you had another half of the question.
So then, same question again, but for a series. So a series that people hate that you loved.
Okay. Again, weak, and I don't love it.
Yeah.
But I'm enjoying it, and it's the War That Came Too Early series by Harry Turtledove. Okay? I don't like them, but Olivia said earlier about Sally Rooney's books, and I love to hate them, and I don't love to hate Sally Rooney. I just don't like it, but I'm just curious. Whereas I do kind of love to hate the Turtledove all history books. They're, what World War II started in 1938. And they're dumb, but I actually am really looking forward to reading the second one. And it's just not very good. And they are universally panned. Despite selling really well. When they were released, they were well received. But historians today and like modern, being a historian is a bit popular these days. Pop history. And people are like, oh, this is garbage. I actually kind of like it. It's just shite. It's just no good.
Doesn't sound very good.
It doesn't make any sense! But I do like reading it, so that's my answer.
Okay.
Yourself?
I'm struggling with this one.
Yeah, it's hard. These questions are so tricky. Please let us know in the comments if you can think of easier answers. We'll put the questions in the description so you can answer yourself.
I don't read many series for a start, and I don't think I read many series that people hate. The only one that comes to mind is Pretty Little Liars.
I mean, that's fair. That's just because it's popularly... It's...
The books are terrible. No, the books are... They are terrible. They're objectively terrible. But...
You're bad, you should feel bad.
They're really easy to read, and I enjoyed reading them for what they were. So...
Fair enough.
We'll go with that one.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Number 3. A love triangle where the main character ended up with the person you did not want them to end up with. So a book where there's been a love triangle.
Shallan, Adeline, and Kaladin in the Stormlight Archive.
Okay, that was easy for you.
So dumb. It's a love triangle that springs out of basically nowhere, and the solution, he brings it up, almost for no reason, the author. It takes place over 200 pages, and it builds this dramatic tension that there's going to be some argument between the two mains, and the males are just like, sup, yo, sup, and they're just fine with each other, because Adeline's a really nice guy, and Kaladin's all broody and sad, and it's just like, yeah, no, I don't really want to be with her at all. And then it ends, and then they live happy ever after, and spoilers, they get married. And it's like Adeline and Shallan. It's like, well, then why did you make me think this was a love triangle? It obviously wasn't. It never was. But it kept implying it was, and other characters kept talking about it. It felt like they're like, I need a romance, but not an easy one. I need some drama for the middle bit of the book. So, love triangle that makes no sense. It's garbage. Done. That's it. Easy. That was the easiest one.
Now I'm struggling with this one because I don't like reading
I hate
love
it.
triangles or those kind of things, so I kind of avoid them. Literally the only thing I can think of is the weird love triangle 4-character thing in Harry Potter.
Oh, it's really dumb, yeah.
But like in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Like Ron
very
shouldn't
bad.
have ended up with Hermione.
No.
Harry shouldn't have ended up with Ginny. And then you have the whole, like, who is it that he dates in book 5? And
Cho,
that's it.
Cho Chang. Why don't I remember that perfectly?
And then the jealousy thing that goes on in
It's ridiculous.
Like, the Goblet of Fire.
It's the same thing. It's a fake jealousy. It's a jealousy that doesn't actually exist.
Yeah.
It's an implied jealousy that seems to be like the writer thinks that the reader thinks that we should think there's jealousy, and then there just like isn't, and it's just like, oh yeah, no, you guys gotta be together, whatever. Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
It's all quite poor.
It's pretty much the same as my answer.
And
yeah.
everyone ends up with the wrong person.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with that.
In my instance, I think Challenger should have ended up with neither of them, and I wanted Challen to drown in a puddle, but... Sorry to Challen.
Well, everyone thought that Hermione was going to end up with Harry.
Yeah.
And Ron, well...
Ron should just go off in the distance with, I don't know, bang his cousin.
I'm not really sure what's meant to happen to
sister.
Ron. He's just there for comedic effect.
He really is. It'd be a weird redhead.
Yeah.
Even though he's the best character. Neville's the best character.
Yeah.
This is a different topic for
we were going off. Okay, anyway. Number 4, a popular book genre that you hardly reach for.
Popular book genre.
That you hardly reach for.
I mean, I read a pretty niche subset of genres, I think, mostly.
So what's a popular one that you...
I think Victorian has had a bit of an upstart, and I don't really reach for Victorian literature. I find it dry every time I've tried.
How's the Ten and Welfare?
Ten and Welfare is not going well. It's dry. I'm not a big fan of Victorian. It just does not hit me. The commas, the overuse of commas. But mainly it's just the style of writing and the draperies were like this, and it's just not good. For me.
It's an acquired taste.
Acquired taste.
Yeah. Okay, I have 3 that I think are all popular genres that I avoid. You've got kind of contemporary romances.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Which I avoid like the plague because they just bore me. And then sci-fi and fantasy is 2 separate genres that I think... fantasy... fantasy for me, I can either really, really love it or it bores me.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot for me to pick up a fantasy book. Also, given that they're normally series, and series always
you
feel
like
like...
The Witcher, you just stopped.
Yeah, I liked the first 2, the short stories, once we got into the series. Listen, I'm not great with series, I think.
You do well with Song of Ice and Fire.
Even that, though, while I enjoyed it, I think that towards the end, it starts to fall apart for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the concept of a series. I love the concept of you get to know these characters and you go for books and books, but it doesn't actually play out very well for me, and I think that's probably part of the issue with fantasy. Sci-fi, I'm just not really interested in space.
You're not.
I'm not.
And you're missing out. It's great.
I probably am, but...
I love sci-fi. It's so good.
Yeah, it just doesn't really interest me.
I love science. It's just fun. Okay.
So wait, I don't read romances, I don't read sci-fi, I don't read fantasy.
What do you read? Who are you?
Number 5, a popular or beloved character that you do not like. Pippi Longstockings.
I don't really know much about Pippi Longstockings.
She is the most unbearable character. There's nothing likeable about her. And I know that that's meant to be the point. She's meant to be this kind of like,
insufferable Swedish teenager.
Yeah, a little rebel girl in a sense. That's really, but it wasn't endearing. And I know she's popular and I know she's loved, but I couldn't stand her. Sorry, Pippi.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my previous answer for this one. Challen, for me, in Still My Archive. Again, oh, look at this fantasy reader over here. But I hate Challen. I think she's one of the Sanderson's worst written character. Oh, I'm a gorgeous redhead celebrity, famous, like, rich person who's not rich, but I am, and is ugly, but I'm actually beautiful and everyone loves me. Oh, and I'm also one of the most uniquely blessed individuals in terms of power and the first person with this unique ability to come back on in thousands of years. Oh no, I have split personality disorder, and it's so dumb, and they just keep coming up with new mental conditions, just like fling at her like tax on a board, and her dramas are so unnecessary and uninteresting. And she has like 3 big twist reveals. The first one's like, oh, that's weird. The second one's like, oh, that kind of weirded out the first. And the third one, like, retcons the first one. And it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. What's going on? Is this a memory thing? Her stories are garbage. It's just a weird. If you could remove Shallon entirely and replace her with any of the other brilliantly written women by Sanderson. I know you don't think that because of Mistborn, but the rest of his writing is really good. Women in Stormlight are very good. The shorter Arcanum Unbound are really good. Risen is easily one of the best characters, I think, one of the best female characters in fantasy, I believe. And she's only a small character. She's in Dawnshard, you know, the novella that I read.
I tried to read one of his smaller books. Is that the one? Or...
No. It came out only recently. It came out just before the most recent Stormlight book.
A few years ago.
Yeah, I got it.
Yes, I do remember.
Yeah, it was really good. She's crippled as a result of an accident. And I just hate her. She's just not good. I don't like her. No.
Sorry, Shallon.
Shallon sucks. And it's very controversial. I've received a lot of criticism for that when I talk about it on like my videos. I've mentioned it before and people are like, no, Shallon!
Why do people like her?
They just love her. I don't know. They like the portrayal of mental illness. But I think it's a bad portrayal of mental illness. I think it's a very surface level one. The rest of the mental illnesses portrayed... Somewhere Echo is basically a story of mental illness. And the rest of them I think have done very well. Depression, various personality disorders, guilt, and all these other feelings are really well done. Hers is just like, I don't know who I am, so I'm going to literally create personalities. It's dumb.
Number 6, a popular author that you can't seem to get into. I think
you're going to double down.
I've subtly answered this one, haven't I?
You have.
Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
I don't get the appeal. I've tried. I've really tried.
I'm going to keep trying.
All of Mistborn, all of Wax and Wayne, one of the short story collections.
That's still Mistborn, though.
Okay, but short story collections were, and I just...
You read Arcanum Unbound?
I can't remember what it was.
Okay.
I had it on Kindle, so I didn't have the cover in front of me, so I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
From what you've told me about other ones that you've read...
I like them.
No.
They're good.
It probably plays into the not a huge fan of fantasy series.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Never going to happen. So, I mean, you could really double down on this one. A popular author that you just can't... Well,
Sally Rooney.
Yeah.
That's fair. Sally Rooney, again, she's just... It's just something about her irks me the wrong way. She's just a wannabe left-wing socialite, and I am as left-wing as they come. You know, the person sitting in their country club sipping Prosecco because it's good to shop local and not go to the French stuff. And, you know, talking about the oppression of the bourgeoisie in flicks, you know, while gently flaying a slave. I don't know. It's just this elitism. She just has this way about the way she writes. This almost disdainful. Ugh. No, Sally Rooney. Oh, that was easy.
There you go.
Yeah.
That one's going to be hard. Number 7, a popular book trope that you're tired of seeing.
I don't know if this is a trope, but Midnight Library had this. And it's this like, when the character realizes what they need to do, but then doesn't do it, and so they still have to do the rest of the book to then realize to do the thing they had to do.
Keeping the plot going for longer than it really needs to.
Yeah, that's a very continuous trope in modern fiction, where it should really be a short story, but they've been paid to make it a book. In Midnight Library, about 47% of the way through, she goes, "You're right, I shouldn't commit suicide, but I still feel sad. What else can you show me?" And it's just dumb, like almost literally what she says, and then just continues to do the things that have been happening, and no more lessons are learned. It's just a series of elevating drama and tension. Maybe that as well, just the concept of this continuous tension rise that doesn't feel natural.
I agree. I would say like the Midnight Library. I definitely.
Yeah,
agree.
I'm picking on this book a lot.
Yeah, it just gets a bit tiresome, doesn't it? You feel like, okay, your story's over now. Can we move on? And it just keeps going and going.
What's yours?
Yeah, I think mine are playing to the hatred for romances and the fact that romances have to weave their way into everything.
I agree with you.
So friends to lovers, enemies to lovers, those kind of concepts.
You can't be nice to each other without banging at the end.
Yeah, I really hate it when the romance isn't the centre of the plot. Yeah. But there has to be a romance. The side romance. Story. Yeah, like, can we not just have two characters that are friends or that are helping each other out through the plot and it doesn't end in a romance?
Yeah. Oh, I hate it.
It's just boring. I'm
going to add another one. Badass female trope. It's really annoying. I really hate the token badass female who will either A, be killed to illustrate the seriousness of the situation, B, go rogue and become an enemy. C, melt and fall in love with either the protagonist or the protagonist's main bud. Or, like, no, that's it. Yeah, just those three. That's all they'll ever do. I think almost every big enough book with a big enough world that fits with that falls to tropes, I think does somewhat commit to this idea, and it frustrates me.
The characters that sell, that's the problem.
They sell, yeah, and I don't just mean the Hunger Games Katniss type thing, though that is an egregious example of it. But the ones who are ancillary characters, who are just kind of there to be a badass and like do the cool badass thing, but then fall in love at the end, and that invalidates. No, you don't need a romance. They can just be a female who exists.
That's my problem. If you're a romance book, have the romance. If you're not a romance book, skip the romance and stick to the thing that people have actually picked the book up for.
Do you remember we watched, this is a movie, not a book, but do you remember we watched Tom Cruise, Time Travel Aliens, Beaches in Normandy, and he kept repeating the day?
Oh,
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, that was a bit tight. That was a bit kind of like...
I liked it.
The loop kept going too much.
Yeah, it did look a little long. But I actually really liked Emily Blunt's character, because there is a building relationship there, but of course it's invalidated because only he remembers the loop, right? In like a Greyhound day, but she understands it because she also did the same thing, but now she's lost that power. But she's a badass, she's a woman, but she's respected and feared. It's more of a one-sided relationship where he falls in love with her, and she seeks comfort in him in the more dangerous situations, but then doesn't really reciprocate. And there's an implication that at the end they might get together, but, you know, not really, probably. She actually just is a badass, and her being a woman is somewhat not really relevant.
No, from what I remember of it, not really.
Well, I mean, in terms of her abilities, yes, it had to have a female lead for the movie, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I mean, in terms of the plot, it wasn't really relevant,
okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Him getting the hots for her and all that didn't really make a difference.
Yeah, but then it still just, to me, it just doesn't need to be that.
I agree.
If the plot is about something else, I just don't want the romance.
Agreed.
It's boring.
Tropes are terrible.
Sorry, it's just...
To TV tropes.
Number 8, a popular series that you have no interest in reading. So this isn't one that you've read. This is one that you know you won't pick up.
God, there's 1,000 series I won't read.
A popular series.
There's 1,000 popular series I won't read.
Okay.
God, I don't know. Help me out.
Okay, so I had The Hunger Games.
Yeah, I've read The Hunger Games, though. The first one.
So I haven't.
Oh, the Divergent series. I don't give a crap.
Oh, I started that.
It's Hunger Games.
Don't go there,
with,
it's boring.
Yeah, with the Hunger Games, but like with genetic identity.
Yeah.
Is that a mosquito? There's a mosquito. It's December.
Ah.
It just flew up. It's gone. It's gonna bite us in a minute.
No, I've looked in the light. Yeah, if we're talking about the same series, it's like when you turn 16, like you get sorted almost into like houses.
And she's divergent because...
Yeah, it was so boring.
No, I have no interest in that.
One. So there's that one. Wheel of Time, I can't see that that's ever going to happen.
I will. I've got them all.
It sounds like it's going to be too much of a slog and it's just going to be too tiring for what you
I'm
get.
going to read it, though. I'm going to read it.
And then the Sarah J. Maas series, if I'm pronouncing that right, is fantasy.
I don't know what that is.
I had to actually look it up to remind myself. Teenage assassin, like in a corrupt kingdom with a corrupt ruler.
Right.
I'm trying to think of some of the titles of the series, but
I don't even care to remember.
It's a popular series that I've heard a lot about, and the minute I hear her name, I'm just like, oh, it's that series again, and I just kind of switch off to the point where I don't even know what the overall series is called. But
I like that.
Yeah, that's not happening at any point either. Number 9. The saying goes, the book is always better than the movie. But what movie or TV show adaptation do you prefer than the book?
Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Okay.
Interestingly, in another book within this Bookmas series, I talk about how it's one of my favorite passages in reading, or in books, a passage of Two Towers at the end. But or maybe Return of the King. No, Two Towers. Two Towers is better as a movie. It just hits better. It's just all the beats are there for this really good crescendo. It all comes together really tightly. And in a book, it feels a bit like there's this danger looming, but you just can't quite get there. And the separation between the action that's going on with like Aragorn and the horse people, and then also the stuff that begins to happen in the Gondor area and all that. And then you jump to freaking Frodo and Sam. And in the movie, it's done so well. and it undercuts the tension of the scenes in a really satisfying way. It brings you out and brings you back in, and the tension flows gorgeously. But in the book, I remember the feeling, I haven't read it in quite a few years, but this feeling of being a bit like, ooh, okay, and now I'm here, okay, and I gotta read this long thing, oh, we got hobbits talking about this, and it just kind of keeps going and going, and it's really good, and there's some wonderful passages, and there's quite a lot of action in this book, and Tolkien isn't the best at describing the flow of action. He's best at describing the set of action. And so you can see how the Battle of Helm's Deep being easily the best battle ever made on cinema, I think. Fantasy battle, anyway. And then in the books, it's a little bit more close. You don't really get this grand sweep, you know? It doesn't hit quite right. Okay. So the film's better, but only just.
Okay. I have two.
What's yours?
One, you're definitely going to disagree with me.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So, first 4 series only.
Wait, first 4 series?
So yeah, because it's been adapted into a TV show.
Okay.
Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire.
You think it's better as a TV show than a book?
Yeah. Yeah. For the first 4, obviously it falls apart after season 4. After season 4, it crumbles and no. But initially, I think the TV show is a lot better than the books. I also think I would have really struggled to get into the book if I hadn't already watched the first 2 seasons of the show.
I disagree with you.
Thought you would.
Quite ardently.
I thought you would, so yeah.
However, I would posit that they're just different. Lord of the Rings is, I think, a different question. Because I think it tries to be quite a true experience of the books. Mm-hmm. I would say, though, even though the first few seasons are very close to the books, they're just different. It's more like a drama set in the medieval time, whereas the books are totally different levels of complexity and intrigue. And while they are the same, if you see what I mean, the events are the same, and the story is the same, and kind of story beats are the same, I think the books are just doing something different.
See, I would disagree. I would say that for the first couple of seasons, first couple of books, they're the same.
I find so much more nuance to it. I don't know.
No, the difference is that the book, you've got the same characters, but the book just throws all these characters at you, and it throws this new world at you, and it goes, here, learn them all. And maybe because of the way I process things, having all of that thrown at me in a TV show and having the visuals there, I could deal with having this entire new world, all these characters, all these families. Whereas if I'd read the book first, I think I'd have ended up confused and I'd have put it down.
Different mentalities, I suppose.
I would say that for people who don't read fantasy and those kind of heavier books, watch the first season first and then read the books if you want to read the books, because it helps you have the world in your mind and the characters in your mind.
If you have that mindset, I would agree with you. But I would just say they're just different. They're both fantastic. It's a shame that it got cancelled after season 4.
It is.
Really, it got shamed. Yeah. Just a shame, rather.
And then my second one, I think you probably will agree with me, My Sister's Keeper.
Yeah.
The film was just way better than the book.
Yeah, it was much better. Actually, I'm surprised I didn't think of that, actually. Yeah, it's much, much better.
Yeah. What is the ending of the book?
The ending is
terrible.
Is not good.
I'm glad they changed it for the film.
Yeah. So. You can think of quite a lot. There's like 2 major King films, I think, as well, that are like that. The Mist and Shawshank, apparently,
are...
I haven't read either of them, but they're much better than the book, and King says so himself. However, The Mist is because the ending is completely changed. And he was like, that's so much better, I wish I'd thought of it. That's the first thing he said, I wish I'd thought of it. And I think in My Sister's Keeper, though, the ending is different. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just a different ending from a different thing. It's the opposite intention. Not even like, oh, maybe we could imply... No, it's the avert opposite thing occurs. Yeah. And if you read the book, you're just like, excuse me?
Yeah, because
But it makes more sense.
I actually can't remember which way around it was for me. I think I watched the movie before I read the book.
I can't even remember now, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Whatever you did, I did as well.
Yeah, because then I was surprised with the book and was like, oh, that's how it ends?
Yeah,
strange. Don't like that.
Dumb.
Feel free to add your own bonus questions.
Oh, great.
So, number 10, just to round it off.
All right.
A reading habit that other people judge you for or would judge you for. So, an unpopular reading habit.
Or unpopular reading habit. That's a good question.
It's going
myself. That's a really good question. An unpopular reading habit.
Yeah.
I read on the toilet a lot.
Probably an unpopular one,
yeah. I read on the toilet.
Another good reason why you shouldn't borrow people's books.
Very good reason.
I have a few.
Yeah, give me some more. Give me some
Okay.
years.
I think a lot of people hate the concept of eating while you're reading, and that concept of getting food on books.
I do that as well.
I always eat while I'm reading and don't really think anything of it. But it's
Yeah.
like the idea of like greasy hands on paper.
True. I don't mind.
And I think also the way I hold books and the way I scrunch them up and bend them back, and
Yeah, that's what I'll agree with.
Probably
yeah.
one that people would hate or judge me for.
I guess I'll put a caveat maybe in that I have an ability, a unique ability. No, I have a tendency to sometimes stop reading in the middle of sentences. I just have a very good memory. It doesn't really affect me. I can stop reading almost anywhere in the book and just pick it up days or weeks later and be fine. And I think some people would be pretty irritated by that I'm losing something of the experience, that I'm not getting to a natural conclusion. I prefer to, but sometimes I will just stop in the middle of a sentence if I need to, and then I will come back to it. I'll be fine.
But then you say that I lose kind of some of it from the fact that I read multiple books at once.
Indeed. You know,
Just different ways of reading.
You know, I think it would be really helpful if we could examine further the kind of habits that we have. Well, if only that there was a video you could watch.
In a few days.
In a few days, yeah. I was going to put a card up. Yeah. Check in a couple days for another video on this channel by us, unsurprisingly, where we're going to be talking specifically about reading habits and about good reading habits, bad reading habits, and maybe some weird ones as well.
What terrible things do we do to books?
What terrible, terrible things. Don't look at our bookshelves. It's a monstrosity. So definitely subscribe to watch that. That's going to be coming out in a few days. Other than that, do leave a like as normal, because it's necessary for the algorithm, and dislikes don't matter anymore because they're gone.
Do they not affect the algorithm anymore?
They do, but they're gone. No one cares about them. We don't care. They're gone.
Okay.
They're not real. Leave a dislike. I don't care.
Can't see it.
Can't see it. I don't mind. I'm the only one who can see it.
Oh,
It's on the
okay.
analytics.
So it could
I do see the analytics. Yeah. So thank you for watching. See you next time. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.